everyone. Good morning from the West Coast. I see a couple people have just creeped in at the last minute, so we might wait another second before we get started. But I guess I can go ahead and first introduce myself and go over a little bit of housekeeping. So today, hopefully you're here for our building an end-to-end browser-based application, part one of a 4-part series. I'm Jacqueline Garcia, our education manager at Synergex. Obviously not the person that you see on screen right now, but I'll introduce him in just a second. Looks like a couple more people have just joined. So for housekeeping, today's webinar, like all of our webinars, is being recorded. We should have it out on our YouTube channel by tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to get a notification about when it's uploaded. We'll be taking Q&A at the end of this webinar, but if you have questions that come up during the presentation, feel free to use the Q&A or chat boxes. You'll see that we've actually already sent out some chats. I said hello this morning, and Liz, our digital producer at Synergex, has posted our link to our YouTube channel, so you can find that easily. We will also take questions verbally at the end. We'll be able to unmute everyone so that you can actually say hi. But just if something comes up and you don't want to forget it, feel free to send it in via the Q&A box. So many of you on this list look very familiar to me. I've seen you at a couple of our past webinars. So you're probably used to seeing either Steve Ives or Jeff Green leading these presentations. But today it's my pleasure to introduce someone completely new to the webinar scene at Synergex. We will, of course, have Jeff and Steve here. You can see them in our staff list to jump in with questions anyone might have about Harmony Core at the end. But today I get to introduce Johnson Luong. Johnson, you can wave if you want.
Hello.
He's there on screen. He was supposed to make his Synergex presentation debut at our 2020 conference that was unfortunately postponed. Luckily for all of you, his one conference session has been turned into a 4-part webinar series so we can really get into the details of building a web app. Johnson's been with us since 2014. He started in QA and has since worked on various development projects, including creating our Windows Wix installers. Most recently, Johnson has developed xfBBQ. While Johnson will explain in technical terms what xfBBQ is in just a moment, I can tell you that it's the homegrown application my fellow Synergexians and I should be using right now to place our orders for a company barbecue. Unfortunately, those were also postponed. So for now, we'll just get to take a look at the app and imagine all the veggie burgers we'll be able to order at next summer's barbecues. So at this time, Johnson, you can go ahead and take it away.
Hello. So this is xfBBQ, building an end-to-end browser-based application. Let's get started. So on today's agenda, we're going to cover what is xfBBQ, the prerequisites required in order to run and build it, how to generate a React app with Create React App, and then we're going to generate the solution from the Harmony Core template. We're going to use regen.bat to generate files for use in Harmony Core, and then we're going to show the backend data from the backend using Postman. After that, we're going to do front-end development with React, and then we're going to show the backend data from the front end. Let's go ahead and get started. So what I want to show you is the xfBBQ itself in the flesh. You guys can also access this if you want to. The website is this xfbbq.azurewebsites.net, and you guys can go ahead and explore around and make a user and create some orders. So after the end of this, this is essentially what we're going to create is the xfBBQ application. You can see you have the barbecue view right here, and you can see the orders that people have placed. You can see all the users that have registered for xfBBQ. And then you can see favorite. Well, I don't have any favorites. And you can see the shopping list. So you can see what needs to be ordered for the upcoming barbecue. And then inside the barbecue view, you could even see what needs what is to be cooked in here. And so again, the website is xfBBQ.azurewebsites.net. In addition, xfBBQ is an open source project, so it does exist in our GitHub repo, github.com/synergex.xfBBQ. If you guys want to explore around in here and maybe clone it or play around with it yourself. Okay, so the first thing I want to go over are the prerequisites. So what you're going to need is CodeGen installed in order to generate files. We're going to need Git installed. I'm going to use Google Chrome for all my front end debugging. We need Visual Studio Code installed for the front end. Visual Studio needs to be installed as well for Harmony Core. Node.js needs to be installed for the front end. In addition, Postman needs to be installed so that we could do the backend API work. And then obviously we need Synergy installed as well. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to, on our desktop, I'm going to open a PowerShell window here, and I'm going to type in npx create React app xfBBQ. And this is what this is essentially going to do is use the create React app package in order to create a React app. So what is React? Someone might ask. Well, React is a popular JavaScript library that was created by Facebook. It is primarily used for building user interfaces for the web. You could create very complicated UI applications with them. So for example, here inside xfBBQ, you can see how we have all these different pages here. And so that's what React allows us to do, is to have all these different pages. And then we're going to use the React Router DOM node module to turn it into a single page app. So as you can see, all these little things at the end of them are not actually real addresses. They're all part of the single page app experience. So for those who don't know what a single page app is, essentially this whole thing is loaded at the same time when it's downloaded from the server. That way, there's no constant churning of data. Everything is loaded at once to the user. And then what React allows us to do is all this is dynamically redrawn. So as you can see, all these different pages are constantly being redrawn here, and no data is being sent from the server anymore, except for all these data requests. Okay, so this is done, and we have an xfBBQ folder here. And then we're going to open it in code, so I'm going to cd to the folder. I'm going to type in code dot. And now we have our xfBBQ environment in here. So the first thing we're going to do is inside this directory, I'm going to create a couple of files. First one is a .env file. Inside here, I'm going to set https to true. What this does is force the React app to run in HTTPS mode. And then I'm going to add another file. The Git attributes file essentially makes it so that when this thing is uploaded to GitHub, it won't see any of these template files in here. So usually what template files to GitHub, they are seen as Smarty files. But with this Git attributes, it won't see them anymore. So we go over here to the GitHub page, you would see that it says that it's JavaScript instead of them being Smarty files. And then we're going to open the console here, run npm start. We're going to add the certificate to the store. So that way we won't see this direction not secured error. I'm going to click certificate, details, copy the file. Just going to copy it to the desktop. Okay, and then I'm going to close this. Going to open it, install a certificate. Going to place it in the trusted root. Okay, open up Chrome again. Localhost 3000. Okay, as you can see, this is our simple Create React app that was made with Create React app here. And then the cool thing about React is that we can do hot reloading right on the fly. So for example, it says right here, we could edit app.js and say to reload. So over here, let me just add some fluff to it. I'm going to save it. And that gets directly added to here, right on the fly. Okay, and we're going to search on the server now, Control C. Now we're going to move on to the Harmony core side of things. So back in our console, I'm going to type in .NET Dev Certs HTTPS Trust. So this will make it so that the .NET Core Dev Certificate gets trusted as well. Then I'm going to type in .NET New -I Harmony Core project templates. And what that is going to do is install the templates. So as you can see, you can double check that the templates are installed here by checking that the language is Synergy. Okay, and I'm going to make a new Harmony core. So .NET New -I Harmony core. Nope. Sorry. .NET New Harmony core. Okay, what that's going to do is create the actual Harmony core solution. Okay, we're going to cd to the folder. And then we're going to open the solution. Okay, we have the Harmony core solution here. So what I'm going to do is just simply commit them to GitHub so that you all can see it as well and kind of follow along if you want. I'm going to sync them, publish it to GitHub. Okay. Then we check over here, open a new tab. Go to github.com/theplasmastorm/xfBBQ demo. You can see exactly what I just committed right here. And then as these sessions go on, you guys can follow along. Okay, so we're going to set up Harmony core now for xfBBQ. So what I'm going to do is start replacing some files here. So I'm going to replace the repository file. And then inside sample data, I'm going to replace all these files. Okay, I'm just going to build a repository. Okay, and now we have to edit our regen file so that we can regen the files that we need. Okay, so what we need to edit are the data structures here. So data structures for xfBBQ are barbecue, order, user, and favorite. And then down here for the options that we need to set to enable the OData environment, self-host generation, create test files, get one, get all, and the Postman tests. Save that. And then we need to generate these files. So I'm going to go to Tools, Command Prompt, cd up1, type regen. And that's going to regen all these files for us. And then we need to add them to the solution. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. It's inside services. Services controller. Host. And lastly, models. Okay. I'm going to rebuild everything. Everything's going to build just fine. I'm going to So in order for this to run, I need to set services.host as a startup project. I'm going to start debugging. Okay, and then I'm going to open up this website right here. And then I'm going to navigate to OData V1 barbecues. And then you can see that Army Core is populating these and data is being read. So for example, you can see the barbecues, you can see orders too. Orders people make. In addition, what we can do is look at this from Postman. So I'm going to launch Postman. If you guys didn't know what Postman is, it is essentially an app that lets you test your backend APIs without necessarily having a front end for them. So you could test and look at data this way, or if you look at it through Postman. So that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to import from the desktop inside Army Core this Postman collection here. And then let's try to read a barbecue. Can't get a response. That's because SSL has been turned on. We need to turn that off. So where did it go? Right here, SSL certificate validation. We need to turn that off. Go ahead and try it again. So now what you see is our data, but this time it's inside Postman. And you can see other things you could grab as well. For example, we could grab all the favorites. Okay, and then let's commit all this as well. So inside our Team Explorer, go to changes. So all these are the files that were generated. Commit it, and then when to sync it. Okay, and now we're going to display all this beautiful data except from the front end now. So inside our Visual Studio Code, we're going to have to make a couple of small modifications. I'm going to create a new folder inside source. Components. Inside components, I'm going to create a couple of folders as well. We have a home folder. Folder and user. In addition, we also need to code a page not found page. .jsx. So what I like to do is differentiate my React JavaScript files from my normal JavaScript files. So I'm going to add the X to it, which essentially will turn into JavaScript X files for React. So inside all these folders, I'm going to add files in them. So let's go ahead and start doing that. homepage.jsx. I'm going to start pasting files in. So if you guys have never seen a React file, this is essentially what it looks like. It has this kind of weird syntax that mashes JavaScript in with HTML. So you see something that looks like this. Okay. And all these are pretty much going to look the same for now. So I'm just pasting them all in. Okay. So I added my page not found. Page not found, there's nothing here. And now I'm going to rename these files as well, the app.jx and the index.js, because they are technically React files. I'm going to add a header file so that we can easily navigate between our pages. Whoops. Inside our header, we have something that looks like this. This will allow us to navigate between pages. We need to add a npm package, React Router DOM, which will turn this into a single page app. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to type in npm I React Router DOM. Meanwhile, while that's going on, I'm going to paste in code for the other pages as well. So inside index.jsx, where I turn this into something that will just look at app right here that's being imported. And then inside app is all the switch that we're going to have. And what the switch will allow us to do is it will route these pages into the components. I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to npm start. Let's see what that looks like. Chrome is already open here. Go back to your React app, refresh it. So now we have a simple little user interface here. We have our pages here. Also have a page not found. Error invalid. I don't know what this is exactly. There should be a page not found here, but worry about that another time. So now that we have our basic user interface here, need to look at data that's coming from Harmony Core. So we're going to have to add an API to this. So new folder called API. Inside here, we need to add a couple new files. So API utils.js. And then I'm going to paste in code for these as well. So what's happening here is in our handle response, we are going to return based on the response that we get. So if it's okay, we're going to return the JSON response. And then if it's not okay, then we're going to throw an error. And that's essentially what's going to happen here. I also need a couple of other APIs. So barbecue API, for example. So the rest of this code for the other components are pretty much going to look similar to this. So inside get barbecues, we're going to fetch the base URL, which is this, OAW1 barbecues, and we're going to have a response that's coming from the API utils. Do the same thing for the other ones. Okay. And then we also need to modify our pages so that we will tap into these APIs. So they're no longer these simple pages. So here what's going on is that I am using the useState hook to set these. And then I'm using a callback in order to await the call from here, the get barbecue call. I'm going to set the barbecues based on the response of that. And I'm just going to JSON stringify the value that comes out of it. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other pages as well. And the user page. And then if you go back to our app, we will see that now we're getting data that's coming straight from Harmony Core in the form of JSON. And let's go ahead and commit those changes. Let's do it in Visual Studio Code. And get it's a barbecue. And I'm going to open the split terminal here. I'm just going to type in git push. Okay. So let's just recap what we have done so far. We have made a React app using create React app. And then we have made the Harmony Core solution as well. Files are generated with regen.bat. And then we initially had those proof of concept pages. Add the API to get data from Harmony Core. And then the pages have been updated to get that data. So next week in our session 2 preview, I'm going to dive into creation, which means I'm going to finally get into how to add data. So primary key generation, relationship types. We're going to finally post data from the front end. I'm going to talk about what Redux is as well. And what is it good for? Absolutely nothing? No, not really. It's good for a lot of things. Going to figure out how to integrate Redux with React, and we're going to dive into persistent storage. And then I'm going to dive into also what Redux dev tools are. To be continued.
Thanks so much, Johnson. So at this time, I think we're ready to open up to questions. And I'm going to go ahead and let my co-organizer, Liz, take over from here.
So I've given everyone the ability to unmute themselves if you'd like to ask a question out loud, or you can obviously use the questions panel. We don't have anything in the panel at the moment. So yeah, feel free to ask whatever is on your mind.
While everyone else is thinking of their questions, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but Johnson, what's your favorite barbecue order?
I like the turkey burger with cheese. How about you?
Veggie burger with cheese and add some spiciness to it.
So not to divert us from this topic, but we do have a question from Alex. Just curious, Johnson, what was your reason for electing to use React versus another front-end framework?
I didn't really know either. I guess you could kind of blame Jeff for pushing me into that direction. I didn't know exactly which front end to use initially, but Jeff suggested to use React because it is the new and shiny thing that's been out recently.
So I'll jump in there. It's not just because it's new and shiny, and it's actually not all that new because it's been around for a long time now, I think, actually. So the reason why we chose React and Redux is more than anything else, actually, probably for Redux. So React is the UI bits, and Redux is the state management that happens behind the scene. And Redux has some really killer features around replayable state management. So if you've ever debugged a UI application or any application at all, the ability to replay something makes debugging so much easier. Like going backwards, debugging backwards a problem that you've encountered and figuring out how you got there can make debugging infinitely easier. And Redux will allow you to do that. It lets you step backwards in the way your application is being run, and it makes debug dramatically easier. Also, there's a whole ton of work being done by generally the community. So Facebook and Microsoft and others goes into React. So it's a framework that just gets a lot of attention in terms of the development work that goes into it. And all those things just sort of add up to be a pretty good place for us to build sort of businessy type applications that are going to stick around for a long time.
And I'm going to dive more into Redux in the second session.
Any other questions? Oh, Alex says thank you to both.
You're welcome.
Also, it looks like Marty's chimed in to tell us that React originated in May of 2013. So React would be like a second grader at this point. Not exactly new, but still pretty young in the scheme of the universe.
Absolutely ancient in the scheme of JavaScript frameworks, though.
This is a little bit off subject, but I was just discussing with Jeff in the background. We don't do this today, but there is some of the code that you saw, Johnson, cutting and pasting in there. Obviously, you don't get to do that in the real world. You've got to type some of that stuff. But there is some potential here for us to explore, particularly those API files, for example. We're generating those APIs on the Harmony core side with CodeGen, and there's absolutely no reason that we couldn't create a template that also generates the React API files to ease some of that coding burden, and maybe some other stuff as well.
Still don't have anything new in the question panel. And no one has a hand raised at the moment.
I think it's probably okay to go ahead and wrap up here then. I'm curious to know, I'm sure Jeff and Steve would also be curious to know if any of you are interested in that template to generate the API file for React. So feel free to shoot us a chat if you have any interest, or send us an email, or I imagine post on GitHub as well. Is there somewhere to post that would be helpful, Steve or Jeff?
Sure, you could, the xfBBQ, Synergex xfBBQ repo, go make some comments there. Or in Harmony Core, either one.
Okay, well, thanks, Liz, so much for moderating our Q&A, and thank you, Johnson, for wonderful part one of this presentation. An email should be coming your way after, I think, tomorrow, for all of you that are online right now. That'll have registration linked to part two if you haven't registered already. I really want to encourage you guys to share this recording of this video with other web developers that might be at your company if they're not viewing it today, and encourage them to come join the next one with you. And Liz has also put together a quick survey. When the meeting ends today, you'll see it. And I guess we'll see you all next time.
Jacqueline, looks like Anne-Marie has a question.
Actually, she said that she's interested in the template. So already got one vote for it.
No problem.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, stay tuned.